Call this meeting to order. Would you please stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance with me? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We did have a change to our agenda this evening, and we're going to be adding another item under new business. It'll be item number 2, and it will be an ordinance that we have concerning a temporary moratorium on establishing new adult-oriented businesses. So we'll be adding that under our new business agenda. First is our commission reports, and Commissioner Pennell, did you have any reports?
I will be attending the chamber meeting on Thursday this week. That's my report.
Okay. Commissioner Olson.
I have nothing this week.
Okay, and I will be tomorrow morning attending my criminal justice committee, and on Thursday afternoon a MACECOM meeting, and Saturday evening I will be emceeing the Mason County Forest Festival crowning of the royalty, you know, the Paul Bunyan and Smokey the Bear and things like that. So I did that last year, and it was very exciting and entertaining, and so I will be doing that at, I believe, the high school gym Saturday evening at 6 o'clock. That is my commission report. Next is a general public comment period. If anybody would like to speak to us about anything, we have a sign-in sheet, and we have 2 opportunities during our meetings which we can do that. Seeing nobody signed up at this time, you will have an opportunity later on in the meeting to do that again if you so would like to. Item number E is our consent agenda. Could we please have a reading of the consent agenda?
Consent agenda, vouchers numbered 80344 through 80441 in the amount of $278,651.94. Payroll warrants numbered 68598 through 68782 in the amount of $633,279.99. Commission meeting minutes from business meeting of February 4th, 2013, and study session of February 11th, 2013.
All right, and I forgot to ask if my fellow commissioners have had ample time to read the material prepared before them in the consent agenda. I'm assuming they have, because they always do, and so if everybody is ready at this moment, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as read?
I move we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second the motion.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes carry. The motion carries. There is no old business at this time, but we have 2 items under new business. The first item under new business is involving our Mountain View pressure zone design, and this briefing will be presented to us by our newly healed city engineer, Mike Michael.
Well, we'll see how
Partially healed.
We'll see how healed I am, how well my voice holds up for this. So, Mayor, Commissioners, thank you. What you have before you this evening is the next step in our capital facilities upgrade. Last year we started transitioning from the sewer facilities to our water facilities with the Angleside project. And what we have before you this evening is the design contract for the next set of projects within the water system upgrades. This is the design contract for a set of projects that will ultimately end up in the implementation of the new, what we've been calling the Upper Mountain View Pressure Zone that was identified initially in the comprehensive plan update in 2009, and then has been further refined to a limited extent through a couple extra small studies. There are still some unknowns with the design, some placement issues, some sizing issues. So we've structured this contract around two phases that we will definitely do, and a third construction support phase that will determine whether we actually need when the time comes or not. Phase 1 is a pre-design type process where we're going to finalize some of the details, which will actually allow us to finalize the scoping and budget for the formal design in phase 2. We have estimates for all three phases, with the Phase 1 estimate firmed up and agreed upon with the consultant. The plan moving forward would be to issue a contract using the firm Phase 1 estimate as well as the estimates for Phases 2 and 3. Only issue notice to proceed on Phase 1 at this time until that work is complete and we can further negotiate the scope and finalize a budget for Phase 2, and then proceed on again with Phase 3 at the time that is necessary. At this point, we started this process back late fall, early winter. In late November, we had a final list of 2 consultant firms that were highly qualified for this. In the process of preparing for interviews, the firms actually, on the side, decided that they were going to draw straws for one to pull out and team up and form a new partnership to present to us, which they did and we accepted. Murray Smith and Associates is the lead firm in the team, with Carollo Engineers providing a support for primarily some of this Phase 1 work. That's really their focus in this. So what we have before you this evening is the pending contract with Murray Smith and Carollo Associates. Phase 1 firm budget is $162,013, with a total contract of $1.5 million for all of the services that we may need, with, as I said, Phases 2 and 3 to be negotiated further before we actually give notice to proceed on those. At this point, we're asking for the commission to approve this contract with Murray Smith and Associates, place it on the consent agenda for the mayor's signature next week, and also staff is also requesting that city administrator be authorized to make any necessary budget modifications for this within the current capital budget.
All right. Questions or comments?
Just a clarification, so is the entire project accounted for in the budget, or just this first phase?
The entire project is accounted for in the budget. Now, construction, I would have to go back and look. We have thought about this as a phased construction project, so it's likely that there's only a portion of construction planned for now. But ultimately, the financial plan developed in the Water Comprehensive Plan update accounted for all of this at roughly the levels we're seeing as far as design costs, as well as ultimately the construction costs that we're still looking at for these projects.
And do we know a time frame?
We are looking to meet our commitments to our state partner, and this is the component of our system upgrades that ultimately provides full service to the water main that we're currently constructing on behalf of State Patrol. We have committed to them 12 to 18 months after their completion for full serviceability on that line. Okay. We believe that this can be broke down, if not into separate contracts, into a phase contract that will easily allow us to meet that commitment to our partners.
Okay, and we're anticipating using the same firm for all of the phases until completion?
As far as construction, that hasn't been decided yet. That'll be part of the design process, making a determination whether it's in the city's best interest to do it as one larger contract or as multiple contracts.
Okay, so is that part of the pre-design then, to come up with bid packages?
That will be part of the discussions in the pre-design. It may not be fully determined until we actually get to the design and look at what some of the components look at. It partly is going to depend on the type of work that ultimately comes out of the design process.
Okay.
Any questions, comments? I read the material, and we are continuing to build upon what we've been talking about for probably a year or so, so I don't have any comments at this time. Okay, so it appears that we are in agreement that we can place this on the consent agenda for February 25th, 2013. Next is an ordinance that we have placed on our agenda, and could we please have a reading of ordinance number 1822-0213? Would we have a reading of that?
Yeah. Go ahead and read it, and then we can do a report.
Oh,
You want the report first, Your Honor?
the report on this.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, okay.
Today it came to our attention that a business is planning to open that is likely to include scantily clad employees serving coffee through a drive-through, to drive-through patrons. The business would be in the downtown district at the corner of Fifth and Railroad. And this location, the business has been an espresso stand in the past, but this new business model that they're contemplating would be more sexually oriented. We do have a sexually oriented business chapter, and it may or may not apply in this situation. And also the sexually oriented business chapter we have was adopted in 2005, and we really haven't had occasion to review it since, so it may be a little dated. And for instance, you in the context of this application, you might want to consider revisions to the sexually oriented chapter, other regulations specifically related to this type of business, this espresso stand, for instance, or perhaps something else after legal review. This is all pretty preliminary at this point, but so far we do not have a business license, although we understand the proposed tenant operates this type of business in 2 other communities as a sexually oriented espresso stand. RCW 35A.63.220 and 3670A.390 allow for a moratorium on the establishment of specific business types in order to give us time to establish appropriate land use regulations. And if it's all, and one of the things, of course, this may or may not be a sexually oriented business. It's a little unclear at this point, but assuming that it is, there are specific rules that would apply. An example is that you may not locate within 650 feet of a residential use, of a place of worship, a public park, a daycare facility, community youth center or library, or any school, public, private, or preschool through the 12th grade. And there are also limits on the conduct of these kinds of businesses. Up before you tonight is consideration is Ordinance 1822-0213, which is a moratorium on all sexually oriented businesses and on adult-oriented espresso stands featuring scantily clad employees. Assuming the commission decides to proceed, the ordinance would be effective immediately. That's how moratorium ordinances work. And then we're obliged to schedule a public hearing in 4 weeks so that the public can come weigh in positively or negatively on the decision. And then during the term of the moratorium, staff would not issue business license for this type of use, whether it's there or anyplace else. That concludes staff's reports, and staff will answer questions if they can. This has all come together this afternoon.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing if you're haven't revisited regulations or ordinances or policies since 2005, and you have a new issue, that you definitely need to, I think, take a look at it and have a conversation about what you need to do at that point. So I'm in favor of this, and so I think it's a good thing to do, to step back and allow the public to have a voice in this matter.
I'm not a real big fan of moratoriums in general. I think it kind of unfair to certain businesses. It just, kicks the can down the road. I don't know. I wish there was another provision to not have to do a moratorium, especially since they haven't actually applied for a business license anyway. It just seems kind of I don't know. a way we could manipulate the RCWs to the city's benefit and their detriment. So in general, I'm not a fan of moratoriums. That's my comment on this for now, until the public hearing, if there is one.
Because we, as according to the rules, commissioners don't talk one amongst each other, but we do talk to our city administrator. The city administrator, and I have had this conversation over the past year about what we would do in situations like this. This was actually something we had been kind of talking about, and I don't think we're targeting any one specific thing. What we're really saying is we don't have a current policy in place. It's something we haven't reviewed as a present commission. So we have talked about this kind of a situation, and it's just the timing is, I think, now. So,
Well, if you have an application on file, a business license application, then the moratorium won't do you any good. So it's important for us to check, and I did this afternoon, to see whether we did have one on file, and we do not at this point. We have had inquiries, but that's the extent of it. And then, so anyway, it's just to clarify that understanding, that if we waited for the application, then this would be a moot point. It wouldn't affect this particular application, but it would affect others subsequent.
any more questions or comments?
I guess the point that you made, that we're not targeting, we are targeting a business. I mean, it specifically is done, whereas this inquiry came to place. I wonder how many other businesses are treated this way, that if it's something that one or all the commission or people on city staff don't approve of, then these moratoriums are rushed through like this. It just seems to kind of be, not in the spirit of I don't know, full cooperation or working with the businesses. But that's just my opinion on moratoriums in general. It seems like they're a good way to avoid things that maybe should have been addressed in the past. 2005 is an ancient history. It's within the last few years, and we haven't had anything come before us since then. And then all of a sudden, we jump on this. It doesn't seem like things have been that outdated that it couldn't have been addressed already in some manner.
That's a good point, but the fact is it hadn't been. I mean, there is not language in the ordinance that was passed in 2005 that specifically addresses this issue. I'm not even sure if this was even a business that anybody thought of back then. I'm not sure how long they've been around. But, and probably, yes, in a perfect world, we should have addressed it sooner than this. Fact is, we didn't.
Mhm.
So now really the only avenue open to us is a temporary moratorium to bring the matter to the forefront and discuss it and come up with some kind of a plan. I agree, it probably does look at this point that we are targeting this particular business. I'm not sure that that's really the case. I mean, it just is what brought it to the forefront. And again, that yes, we probably should have discussed it sooner, but we didn't. So here we are.
Moratoriums are legal. This is a legal way that cities deal with situations that they need more time and public input on something, and things don't always happen. You don't have advance notice on a lot of these things. So we did have legal advice on this, that this is a legal maneuver.
Moratoriums are there so that to give you time. In this case, it's time to develop your codes or see whether you can, just to review the legality of it, that sort of thing. And it gives you time to do that. It also gives you time to do other things. And for instance, we had a moratorium on sewer connections, for instance, and land use applications when we were rebuilding our sewer plant. And so it gave us time in order to fix the problems at the sewer plant. So those moratoriums are done they're not ideal, but when you're behind and you need time to catch up, that's what they're used for.
Well, and it also gives the public time to weigh in, so that all of a sudden the downtown businesses aren't faced with something that they may have very strong opinions on one way or the other, and they didn't get a chance to comment on it. This way they do, and we get a chance to hear what the public at large has to say, rather than just a particular business owner. And you know, for better or for worse, that this type of business affects more than just that business. So the surrounding businesses and the surrounding people who spend their time downtown ought to get a chance to weigh in on whether this is a business that they want or not. And this gives us a chance to do that.
We need the opportunity for the public to weigh in on what we do, and this is the mechanism that we have available to us. So if there's no more questions or comments, I guess, are we ready for a reading of ordinance, this ordinance? I believe we are.
First and final reading, ordinance number 1822-0213, an ordinance of the City of Shelton, Washington, enacting a temporary moratorium on the establishment of new adult-oriented businesses, including espresso stands commonly referred to as bikini baristas. This ordinance shall be in effect immediately upon passage.
Okay, is there a motion to approve this ordinance?
I will move to approve ordinance number 1822-0213.
I would second that.
There's a motion and a second, and all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, opposed? The ayes carry. Thank you very much. That ends our new business. Next, we have an opportunity for an administration report.
One interesting thing this week, Your Honor, I'll be attending a regional managers meeting in Longview on Thursday, so I'll be out for a good portion of the day, and otherwise, I'm just catching back up from what I was working on today. So the other task I had, so that's it.
Very good. Thank you very much. We had the opportunity for general public comment. I don't see anybody signed in at this time, so the final is administration final touches. Is there any final touches?
Public Works has one. We will be bringing forward an update on the Canyon Creek overflow conveyance system design and a contract amendment for the current OTAC contract to perform that design, and so that we can coordinate all our efforts with the paver project coming up fairly quickly at this point. So.
I'll make one little comment about the Canyon Creek experience, is that we made some decisions last year that were to enable to limit or curtail some of the flooding issues and whatnot in that area. And I think we've mentioned this before, but seeing as how we're on YouTube or whatever, that I think we just want to remind the public that this season we didn't experience any major flooding in that area. Is that a true statement?
That's correct. Downstream of Northcliffe, given
Depends where you were, right?
Yeah,
Huh?
given the work that was done downstream, because of the unfortunate happenstance with a woodland creature, we did determine some alternatives that can help us, and this project we're moving forward with is one of those alternatives that is one of the pieces to the puzzle to make the system work as best as we possibly can. So,
You talking about beavers?
no, larger woodland creature.
Oh,
Yes, the Dairy Queen parking lot had to be shut down, and Lumberman's also experienced a good deal of flooding, so it was in different areas this time.
Right.
oh,
It was still there.
And the concept here now, as we've mentioned, is to contain some of those surface flows that occurred because of the unfortunate situation, and let the system function naturally in a more controlled manner.
well, anyway, I think you're doing a great job on that, and thank you very much there. Okay, that looks like enough final touches. Our next meeting will be Monday, February 25th, 2013 at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. This commission meeting is adjourned. Thank you.